Today I fucked up by keeping my son's fish alive. For context, I am a 26-year-old single parent to a way too smart for me 5-year-old boy. I mean it. This kid makes me feel like a fucking idiot. And this story reaffirms that. Also, he has the biggest heart. He is the most empathetic kid I have ever met. He once cried that he killed an inchworm he named Willie and still brings him up 6 months later. This fuck up is about it 2.5 months in the making. Truthfully, I just happened to realize the fuck up today. Anyways, kid's been wanting a dog. Specifically, an old English sheepdog. I don't just yet, I'd prefer we own the house we're in before getting a dog, so we compromised and got fish. They were cool colors, that glowed in the dark, they were low maintenance and best of all they were cheap. We got 3 fish, a pink one named Stella, a yellow one named Sunny, and an orange one named Klaus. Obviously, we verified that the tank was the correct size for the 3 fish and declined the offer for 2 more at the store. Kiddo did great feeding them a pinch of food once a day and all was good. Until a week later, Sunny was found floating upside down and looking like he was scalped or something. The whole top side of this fish's head was just gone. I don't know if maybe poor Sunny got too close to the filter and was scalped or what could have happened, but he went to fish heaven. My son was devastated. I let him know that Sunny was a great fish and that he loved him for the time he took care of him and he was a great fish owner. We take him down to the river we live on and laid him to rest. Flash forward to the next week-ish. Stella is dead. Not sure why, but it does not look like she went peacefully. Her eyes were all bulgy and looked like she was gasping for water when she went. Her mouth was like wide open. Obviously this isn't what happened because fish don't breath that way. But I digress. This leads to a second equally tragic and emotional farewell funeral from my son. At this point I'm considering bribing Klaus to stay alive because I don't know how many more fish funerals my son, and I, if I'm being honest, can deal with. However, Klaus seemed to be alive and kicking, swimming, whatever. All was well. Then, I noticed one day that there was a little, tiny fish swimming around with Klaus. About 6 of them. I'm mystified and don't know what happened, kinda annoyed, but I googled whether this particular fish from the store we got them at can lay eggs and it says yes. So I guess we're now the proud owners of 6 to 8 new fish. Within a month of buying these fish, Klaus is now also dead. Also appears to be scalped somehow. He has no scales on the top of his head. At this point, also, we somehow have about a dozen of these little baby fish. Now we just go through the funeral nice and quick and deal with it. I assume now we're going to dump the tank and get rid of these little fish that I didn't want to begin with. Kiddo disagrees. It's his fish's babies and we need to care for them. And that empathetic heart he has. I'm reluctant, but I guess I don't see a problem in keeping them. I'm pretty annoyed Klaus got knocked up and died shortly after giving birth to these fish. Like, what an asshole? But it is what it is. My son continues to feed these fish every day and keeps up with his responsibility. It's now 2 months down the road and I noticed tonight that the fish haven't gotten any bigger and there are a ton more baby fish in this tank. Coincidentally, we have also been getting eaten alive by mosquitoes. I mean, we are covered. We wake up with more bites every day. Yep. I know you know where this is going. If you don't, you're as dumb as me. I called my son's dad to complain about the ridiculous amount of babies this asshole fish left for me to deal with. He happens to not be a total fucking idiot and let me know that mosquitoes mate and breed in sitting water and I should probably check it out. Another quick Google search pops up all these ugly fuckers we've been feeding for 2 months now. Turns out, Klaus didn't have babies. Mosquito got into the tank and had babies in Klaus's home. I shit-talked Klaus for 2 months because he or she had babies and died. R.I.P. Klaus. I also allowed my son to feed the same mosquitoes that were eating the shit out of us. I hosted a giant fucking mosquito orgy breeding party in my 5-year-old's room for nearly 2 months. The only thing I don't understand is that we have a filter on our tank so it wasn't sitting water. It doesn't even matter at this point. I am a defeated person. Mosquitoes have driven me to a point of paranoia I don't even want to discuss, but I will. I have stayed up at night in a completely dark house, sitting in my bathroom with a flashlight focused on a wall just to smash these bastards with a fly swatter for a week now. I have walked around with a fly swatter in my belt loop to be prepared for these assholes. I see them in the corner of my eye when they aren't there. The buzzing is the theme songs of my nightmares. Just to find out today I was torturing my own self. I was the cause of my own undoing. Today, I fucked up. The last 70 days of my life, I fucked up. Tonight, I yeeted a fish tank full of not Klaus's baby fish over the back balcony into the yard and will deal with it tomorrow. We should have just gotten the fucking dog. Too long didn't read. My kid got 3 fish, they died. Mosquitoes started to use the tank as a breeding ground and we thought they were baby fish, so we fed them fish food until they took over our home. Edited. I haven't been able to see most comments yet, as I was up late today, but it was a 1.5-gallon tank with a color changing light with 3 glowfish. My son did not have several gallons of water in his room. His fish were maybe 2 inches in length and the small tank was approved by the salesman at the large retail store we for them from. If I wasn't new to posting on Reddit, I would post a picture of them before they passed because they were cute little buggers. I had never seen mosquito larvae before. They looked to be clear in color with tails, and had what appeared to be a swim pattern. Sunny, Stella, and Klaus, while having colored pigments, were opaque in the tank's certain light. Didn't occur to me that a mosquito could have babies in running water with a filter. My mom texted me, "Good morning, mosquito farmer today." It's not yet hilarious to me, but it did make me chuckle for a moment. Next story will be that the dog got a bunch of babies and in reality it is just a bunch of rats. But my question is, why did all the fish die though? Up till the end I thought for sure Klaus was killing off his competition. Fish are a lot harder to keep than many people think. Hell, keeping dogs are easier cause you don't have to recreate an entire habitat for them. You didn't cycle your tank, which is the main reason why your fish probably died, due to the filter technically being useless due to it not having the live bacterial colonies that keep the water clean. The fish constantly produce ammonia waste that is toxic and burns their gills, skin, and eyes. Thus, when you don't have the bacteria doing their thing, the fish just slowly suffocate and burn in their own waste. This thus leads to higher stress and a higher susceptibility to infection, like the described scalping, which probably was either a bacterial or a fungal infection. You also kept only 3 of the suggested 6+ for either species of glowfish, as both the glowfish danios and the glowfish tetras both need schools to allow them to feel safe and display normal behaviors. Even though fish are cheap, please don't treat them as disposable. Hell, you wouldn't treat a free stray cat as disposable. They're smarter than what people give them credit for and are very rewarding pets given the effort to give them a proper setup. Personally keep a better in my 16 gallons and he's a gorgeous goofball who follows me around and I've trained to do tricks like swim in a circle on command. If you want to try fish again, please do some research and check out r/aquariums as they have a ton of info on how to start a tank in their wiki. Wait, did you throw the entire tank off the balcony? Like, the whole thing? I feel this is important information. She said she yeeted it, so yeah, I guess so. I need to say to everyone that fish are in no way low maintenance. Sadly people assume that they are. No offense op, I totally get why you would assume that, and then they die frown. Glowfish thrive in a group, so it is recommended to have at least 5 from the same species. If you plan on getting 5 to 6 glowfish, then a 20-gallon tank will be suitable. Keeping them in 3, 5 or 10 gallons of water will result in poor life quality and aggression. That was a quick Google search of how much space do glowfish need. It actually makes my blood boil at how nobody thinks to Google anything about the animals they get. Obligatory, this happened about 3 years ago. So, I was trying to think of ways to get mine and my wife's engine revved again after a hard pregnancy that included nothing for the last 6 months of the pregnancy and delivering by C-section, with us also having a non-verbal autistic 6-year-old terrorizing our house. Well, One day my wife was seeming receptive to a bout of joining loins, and while I went to the store, I decided to swing by a sex shop and bought a small dildo for us to play with. We had never bought anything like that, so I thought it would be interesting and kinda sexy. I come home and things get behind because the kids were bad, and we decide on a rain check for the next day. The next day comes and she ends up with a throbbing toothache that she ended up having to go to the dentist for. She had a cracked tooth with an abscess. Dentist removed the tooth and put her on an antibiotic. Sucks, but it's life, right? We'll have another time later. A week and a half passes and she still feels like crap. She goes back to the dentist to find out what's wrong. Well, the infection moved from her jaw into her sinus. Just great. New antibiotic. Another 2 weeks go by. The infection is gone, but she's still in slight pain. Still waiting on the day to be used was a dildo lying dormant and unnoticed in my nightstand. One day my wife sitting up front is wondering what my son is chewing on, as he, like most autistic children, always chew on absolutely everything. Well, she looked over and saw a dong hammer half eaten like a dog had gotten to it in the corner of the living room. My wife was absolutely great and said she loved the idea and it turned her on. But there's still now the knowledge that my son has actually eaten dick. EL doctor bought dildo to spice up sex life after wife had a baby. Only person who got any use out of it was my 6-year-old son, using it like a chew toy. For some reason I read a sentence as the dildo still lying dormant in my right hand and imagined you just holding it for weeks on end, locked and loaded for the moment your wife is ready for it. Like a ninja with a sword. At any moment I was ready to strike. Thank you for the laugh, dude. Our 5-year-old son, who has speech problems, in a house full of people, comes running out of our room waving a butt plug over his head screaming, "I found it, I found it." Jesus, that was embarrassing, lol. That makes it sound like he's seen it before and wondered where you hid it. Sobbing laughing. I have an autistic 8-year-old who does this kinda shit. Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face. Oh man, then you get it. It's such a different world that we as parents lead versus normal parents. So many things I never thought I'd have to say to my child. Quick question. Was your younger son ever diagnosed autistic? I have a 5-year-old autistic soon and an 8-month-old son now. My son was diagnosed right at 2. We had a really great pediatrician that noticed he didn't talk, didn't make eye contact, toe walked and hand flapped. He had more words at 1 year old than at 2, and even at 10, he wouldn't be considered verbal. He says very few words and it's mostly echolalia, repeating whatever you say, not actually putting a meaning behind that word. There's still now the knowledge that my son has actually eaten dick. I lost it here. I booked a hotel in what I thought was Venice for 10 days with the whole idea of seeing the canals and exploring the city. Climbed in my car with my girlfriend, put the address of the hotel into my GPS, and drove 12 hours to get to our romantic holiday. Checked into our accommodation and asked my girlfriend how we get to the canals from here. Perplexed, she looked at me and asked, "Do you mean the river?" I said no and explained what I meant. She snickered and burst out laughing. Then explained to me that I need to go outside, take the first right and drive about 10 hours because I'm about 1,000 km away from those romantic canals. Turns out I confused Vienna with Venice. See, no evil monkey. We all laughed. I felt like a complete idiot. Weary face, Reddit. Udge away. TL doctor booked hotel in Vienna and thought it was Venice. Drove 1,045 kilometers just to find out my geography is worse than my math. Edit. Thanks for all the tips and advice. We will be exploring Bratislava as suggested and see some of the sites suggested. Gonna make the most of the trip. First stop, the walking tour tomorrow, smiley face. Lesson of the day, double check hotel bookings, or make sure your girlfriend does the booking next time. Did too. This trip turned out to be so magical and special. Thank you for all the recommendations and the support. Vienna turned out to be so bow today I fucked up. We spent the last few days exploring the city by foot, and fell in love with the architecture, the food, the scenery. You guys made this a remarkable experience and we are truly thankful for turning out TIFU into a brilliant vacation. Vienna is a great alternative. Honestly, it may be an unpopular opinion, but I feel Venice is too overrated. Crowded, expensive, small. You can see all there is to see in maximum 2 days. Maybe ending up in Vienna is a good thing, smile. Also, July/August isn't a great time to be in Venice, weather-wise. Keep in mind I'm American and educated in the American school system. I moved to Ireland in 2000 and really knew nothing about Europe. However, my job had me flying all over the EU, Middle East, and Africa. So I got to learn a lot about where things were. However, in the first month of being there I was stuck in Amsterdam and had to fly back to Ireland. My flight was cancelled, so I called the travel desk and they said we'll fly you through Denmark and you can connect there for a flight to Dublin. My dumbass asked, why are you flying me through Canada to get to Ireland? Yeah, I thought Denmark was in Canada. It's all good, man. Vienna is about a day I fucked up a city. Hope you all had fun. TBH, I'd rather spend a week in Vienna than a week in Venice. Vienna is great. If you like art and museums, they've got enough to keep you occupied for your entire trip. Austrians are nicer to tourists than Italians, too. I love how a couple frames up on my feed was a story about how Venice is lowering the occupancy in gondolas because tourists are getting too fat.